Hello and welcome ProITians. In the last session, we discussed about cloud computing. Today, we are going to discuss about virtualization. Welcome back. So, today we are going to discuss about virtualization. Virtualization, what do you mean by virtualization? Simply put, virtualization is a technique of running multiple servers on a single hardware. How is it possible? Well, it is it happens in the background. A software is interacting with the hardware and making available all the hardware resources to the virtual servers which are running on the same hardware. Now, in today's environment, we have servers which are having huge resources, right? Tons of CPU, gigs of RAM, terabytes of hard disk, network, gigabit speed of network interfaces, right? Now, if you're going to use the entire hardware architecture for a single application, it is going to be like a kill of the entire hardware. Why can't we use the same hardware in an optimized way by running multiple applications or multiple servers on the same hardware, right? So that is what the goal of virtualization techniques are, wherein we will want to use all these hardware resources in an optimized way so that it is getting properly utilized for all the server applications, right? So these are all the building blocks of containers. Before we touch base on the topic in the coming days on containers, we wanted to touch base on virtualization because containers is an enhanced version of virtualization techniques, right? So now let's touch base on the virtualization part, and in the later stages we are going to touch base on containers. So broadly speaking, there are two types of virtualization. Yeah, you can have a look on Google it, and you will find there are 7 types of virtualization, and they will talk about application virtualization, network virtualization, so and so forth. Broadly speaking, there are 2 types of virtualization. Type 1, which we call as bare metal, and type 2. So these are the 2 types of virtualization. What is the difference between these 2 types? So let me talk about what is type 1. Type 1 virtualization is directly interacting with the hardware, right? So you have a hardware layer, you have a virtual layer, you have a Hyper-V layer, and on top of that you have the uh, guest operating system and virtual machines on top of that, right? Yeah. Now in type 2, what happens is you have a hardware layer, you have a guest operating system layer. On that, you have this virtual machines running. So you have a Hyper-V layer sitting on top of guest operating system. So I'll give you the examples of type 1 hypervisor, type 1 virtual machine. Uh, the most predominant use is about VMware EXXI, and the second one is Microsoft Hyper-V. So these are the types of type 1 virtualization. The examples of type 2 are VMware Workstation or VirtualBox. Now, which one is best to be used for production and why? Right? Because we have 2 different types and we want to see which one we should be using for the actual and what suits the for what purpose, right? So type 1 virtualization, right? Since it is directly interacting with the hardware, right? Your Hyper-V is directly interacting with the hardware, right? So for that, we there will be a little bit of less latency because all your virtual machines The flow, it will be like virtual machines whenever they require a resource like a CPU, or in virtualization techniques they require a virtual CPU, right? Or virtual RAM. So what they do is the flow will be from virtual machines, it will go to your hypervisor layer and directly to your hardware, right? But in type 2, the flow is different. I mean, the flow is from virtual machine, it goes to a guest machine, right? And then to the hardware. So there is a there is a lag, because you have to uh, go through the virtual machine or the guest operating system, which is interacting with the virtual machine. So that's how the flow is, and that's why there is a lag for that, right? So I would recommend, and that's the industry best practice, right? Whenever you're using any virtualization techniques in production, you have to use type 1 hypervisor, because it is I mean, having better flow, as well as there will be no lags in communication as compared to type 2. So type 2, you can use it for your lab sort of requirement, when you're practicing or creating virtual machines for on your laptop or on your normal PC. That is only for lab environment. So type 1 examples were Microsoft Hyper-V and VMware ESXi. Type 2 examples are VirtualBox and VMware Workstation. Right? Now, for your labs, right? This is what we are going to do. I mean, in coming days, we are going to interact to a lot of labs. We are going to learn a lot of new technologies, right? So for your labs, I would recommend you go with the VirtualBox. Why? It's not that I actually marketing VirtualBox here. It is only because VirtualBox is free of cost, whereas VMware Workstation is licensed and you have to buy a license for that. So it's better that you go with the VirtualBox, right? So in the coming one of the session, I actually create on how do we install VirtualBox um, on a Windows platform or on a Linux platform, so that we are ready with the Docker class. Also, in the coming days, I'm going to compare, like today, I compared with the physical hardware server uh, and virtual machines. In the coming days, I'm going to compare between the virtual machines and Dockers, because that's how, I mean, that's what this class is for, and that's what is the futures technology for now is. Yeah. Now, before we end, let me also touch base on a topic of monolithic architecture and microservice architecture. So, what is monolithic architecture? Simply put, monolithic architecture is like running various modules on a single code. And microservice architectures is like you're running various modules in their own code, on their own set of codes. Okay, so let me give you with an example, right? Now you have an e-commerce site. Yeah? They have the home page, correct? And then you browse through the home page, you find you go through the product catalog. Now you find that, okay, I want to buy this product. Okay, you click on buy, right? Then that particular product goes to your cart, to the cart of the portal, right? So it goes to the cart portal, right? Now you're fine with the product, and you're fine with the cart. You want to do you finalize that you want to buy this product. So what you do is you click on buy, make your payment. That's it. So what are the components that you've touched base as of now? Okay, you've touched base your home page, you've touched base your product catalog, you've touched base cart, you've touched base the payment gateway, right? And now you've also touched base on a delivery address, right? When you were making the payment, you were given the option that, okay, where this product needs to be delivered. That's where you touch base on the delivery portal, right? Delivery module. Later on, and not at this stage, but later on, once you again go back to your home page, you're going to touch base on a module for tracking the product, right? So these are the various modules. The choice is yours. You can develop all these modules in a single binary code, or you can develop these all these modules sitting on on their own set of code. Okay, the advantage with the way the IT industry is moving. Right? I want to actually, because we are going to talk about the futuristic technology. So why I would favor one particular thing than the other? That's what our objective is. So I would favor microservice. I mean, in developing the entire things, right? Why? So when you are doing all this in a monolithic architecture, you're making the application more heavy, right? And also tomorrow, if you have to develop a code, you'll have to make sure that that code breaks fine with the entire set of modules. Okay. Tomorrow, if you have to do any upgrade or any patching on that application, any changes on that application, you'll have to make sure the entire module is working fine. Whereas in microservice architecture, okay, you have those various modules, and if you think that you want to change a particular module, change it, test it out. If that particular module is working fine or not, you can integrate back. Once your testing is done, you can integrate back with the other sets of modules, your portal, your payment gateways, your card, your product catalog, whatever you want to make changes, right? You can make the changes. For example, you want to make a change to product catalog, right? Whatever changes, make the change on that particular module, bring it back to the entire set of modules, and voila, it's up and running. So that's the beauty of microservice. Yeah. Now, why I touched base on this topic? So containers is actually a type of microservice architecture, and yes, it is a virtualization technique. I would rather say it's a enhanced virtualization techniques. It is actually developed, and using the virtualization techniques, it has developed and come up with the containers. So in the coming lectures, we are going to see how we are going to install VirtualBox and how we are going to install Docker. So keep watching, keep learning. Thank you.